My name is Matt Halloran. I work for Avista Utilities as a product manager. And my main focus today is really going to be talking about delivering value to our customers from an AMI deployment. With that, we're going to walk through a little bit about me so you know who you're listening to. I'm a product manager. I have the responsibility of defining our roadmap for customer-facing energy management tools. We'll get into what that means in a bit more detail. I've worked in agile software development and delivery as a project manager, a product owner, and a product manager. So all the different P's, I've had most of those titles in my career. And I worked in the manufacturing and software development industry for 10 years prior to entering the utility industry 4 years ago. So that's the high level as far as my career goes. And I also wanted to give a little bit of background about Avista as well. And so that's where I work. We were founded in 1889, and we're a vertically integrated natural gas and electric utility. We serve about 30,000 square miles of service territory, so quite a large area, and that encompasses about 1.2 million customers. So again, foundational to what we're going to be talking about today, where are we at with our advanced metering infrastructure deployment? We're a majority complete with deployment in Washington State. We started back in 2018, in fact, did a pilot before that in one of our rural towns to just try to learn what that would be like, what we could do, what we couldn't do, what was feasible, all that fun stuff. But our real big project started actually back in 2016, and we started deploying meters in 2018. So we're relatively new to mass AMI deployment, and we did have quite a few debates on how that gets deployed. But right now, our electric meters are collecting and sending 5-minute interval data. I think that's a little bit unique. I think most utilities are in the 15, 30, or 60-minute range. Our gas meters are collecting and sending 60-minute interval data. And one of our main goals from that is to leverage advanced analytics and some of the things we're going to be talking about to deliver more value to our customers. And one quick note here on our partnership with Bidgely, we're also at the beginning stages of that. We actually just kicked off the project in July as far as some of the tools we're going to deliver. And I'll go through some of the roadmap for that as well. So one of the really important things for me as a part of the work we're doing in delivering value is setting the foundation. And for me, AI, machine learning, advanced analytics, neural nets, all those fun jargony terms, whatever you want to call it, it isn't any help to us if we aren't focusing it on the right problems. And so for us as a utility, we really have to understand what those foundational problems we're trying to solve are. So before I get into any use cases or features, I think it's really important to define the problems that my team is tasked with solving. So at a high level, our mission statement is to deliver tools and services to our customers that empower them to understand their energy use and reduce their monthly bill. It's really important to me to focus in on those last two statements, which is understand their energy use and reduce their monthly bill. Those came from our customers. Those are customer-focused statements. And so we should strive to deliver those things for our customers because that's what they want. So I'm a product manager, so I spent more time than I'd like to admit coming to problem statements that in hindsight look kind of obvious. But for me, the more important part is that after going through that exercise, I'm really confident that these are real problems, they're prevalent, and that if we can solve them in a meaningful way, we'll really add value to our customers. So we'll start with the customer problem statements in a journey type sense. So we took a view of this, of what's the main way our customers interact with us, and that's typically through the bill. And that's not necessarily ideal, but that's how it works for us in most cases. So that's our first interaction in most cases, outside of start-stop service, all that fun stuff. But we're really going to focus on an existing customer. And we're going to work through that journey for a customer from a problem statement perspective. And one of the most common ones is, my bill is a surprise to me every month. So many of our customers receive that bill and it's a surprise. So we as utilities, and more specifically us as Avista, we're delivering functionality that will reduce bill-related surprises. So that's the first problem statement. My bill is a surprise to me every month. And that may not be true across the board, but for many customers, it is. And I kind of joke that before AMI, your bill was a surprise to us also. I mean, we didn't know. We'd go read your meter, and we had no idea what your bill was going to be. So it was a surprise to us as well. And we're finally at an opportunity where it's not a surprise to us, and nor should it be a surprise to you. So the second problem we're looking at is, I don't know why my bill is so high. So let's pretend we solved it from the perspective of the bill's no longer a surprise, but guess what? There's more questions that come up in the customer's mind after they receive the bill. So customers don't generally understand the correlation of use and their bill. And it doesn't, on the surface of it, you think, well, of course everybody understands that. But our interactions with our customers highlight that a good portion of them don't actually correlate the use in their home with their energy bill. It's very loose. It's not like, I'll use an analogy of a car. When I get in my car and I drive 200 miles, I have an expectation that I'm going to have to fill up my gas tank probably a couple of times. And as I use my vehicle, I'm going to be spending more. That correlation, we've really done a disservice over the history and how we've built our billing, that correlation doesn't exist for many of our customers. And so the bill is a surprise to them, and they don't know why it's so high. They don't know what does and does not use energy. So we need to educate the customer on how they use energy. And that's an incredibly difficult problem, actually. And we'll dive into that a bit more. So moving on to the next problem statement. I don't know what I can do to lower my bill. So let's pretend, again, we've solved this problem of now the customer's educated. They know why their bill is so high, but now they don't know what they can do to lower their bill. And I'll stick with the car analogy. The statement might be, okay, I understand that using my car will require me to spend more money. And if I choose to use my car, I will be spending more on my energy bill. Well, their response might be something to the effect of, I still have to get to work. What do you want me to do? Not drive my car? I still have to go take care of my family. What do you want me to do? Not drive my car? So even within that problem statement, there are opportunities to help that customer reduce how they use energy. There's energy efficiency measures that we can recommend. So in this problem space of, I don't know what I can do to lower my bill, it is our responsibility to recommend action for this customer and be that energy partner. So we've now looked at, my bill is a surprise. I don't know why my bill is so high. I don't know what I can do to lower my bill. We finally arrive at, I don't have the ability or resources to make changes. So if we were able to effectively manage that conversation with the customer throughout those first three problems, we may arrive at an impasse where the customer says, that's great, I understand what I need to do. I just don't have the ability or resources to make changes. Well, we need to assist in implementing those recommended actions. So again, there's an opportunity with AMI to better serve our customers in this space. And of course, we'll get into that in a bit more detail in a minute. So wanted to set the foundation for problem statements, as these problem statements inform the features that we want to do, the problems we want to focus this technology on to help us deliver not only value to the customer, but also value to us as a utility. So one very important question is this in this equation is, do our customers want this? And I'll highlight a specific quote that came in from our customers. I go through every email that comes in and look for energy management related comments, and I collect them all. And I've highlighted one here. It's pretty generic, but it actually highlights the entire journey. I'm not sure why my home that has only one level and no basement is costing me so much on my bill. I have no leaky faucets and have a new water heater installed. Please help me understand this. So that's the quote from the customer. This is unsolicited. These come in through our website. And I think that comment highlights that entire journey very well. So one, the customer was surprised by their bill. I'm not sure why my home is costing me so much on my bill. That's inherently a surprise. Secondly, they don't know what in their home is using energy. And they said it right in there. I've listed all these things. I have no leaky faucets and I've got a new water heater. Please help me understand this. He's literally asking us to educate him on how he uses energy or they use energy. the customers will never ask for non-intrusive load monitoring. I've never seen an email that says, please deliver me non-intrusive load monitoring. It would be wonderful. And I think that's a really important point, particularly when you have internal conversations within the utility of there's sometimes an expectation that the customer will literally ask for AMI-based load disaggregation. And that's not the case. You have to look one level down and say, no, the customers are never going to ask for that. They are going to ask us to help them understand their bill. They are going to ask us to help them understand what does and does not use energy. And more importantly, they're going to ask for help in understanding what they should do. And we sent a poll out to our customers once we started on this journey of load disaggregation. And we received an overwhelmingly positive response. And I kind of joke that I'm not sure if you asked if somebody likes vanilla ice cream, if it would be this high. But people want this information. We had 88% positive response when we asked, would you like to know the approximate monthly cost of major appliances within your home? And the preliminary questions ahead of that specific question kind of queued up this idea that they were personalized and not generalized. So do our customers want this? The short answer is yes. And again, I think if we can meaningfully solve these problems, then we're setting ourselves up for a better relationship with our customers. So we've walked through that journey. We've asked ourselves a foundational question of, do our customers want this? So what are we going to do about it? What features and functionality are we going to deliver to the customers that help them reduce surprises, educate them, and recommend action, and finally assist in implementing that recommended action? So we're going to start with my bill is a surprise to me. And some of these I think are relatively basic. Concepts like bill to date, right? We should be telling our customers they should see the meter running. Sticking with the gas tank analogy, when you go to the gas tank, you go to fill up the gas tank, you see the price as it goes. You know what you're doing. You know what you're spending. These are things we should be offering to our customers. They should know where they're at within a bill cycle. We should also do a projected bill. It's relatively easy to do with basic calculations. So not only should we be offering bill to date, we should be offering projected bill. Again, these I think are kind of the table stakes for what AMI can offer for the customer. A little bit more advanced would be concepts like budget alerts and mid-cycle notifications. Let the customer tell you when they want to know. Some customers don't want to really know until it reaches a certain range, and those concepts like budget alert and mid-cycle notifications will help meet them where they are. They don't want to know if they've spent $30, it doesn't bother them. But if they spend $150, maybe they want to know. So meet the customer where they're at. Lastly, in this bill is a surprise to me concept, the most exciting one for me and the one that we really need to strive for is the concept of usage spike notifications. And I'll highlight a story here. We recently received a phone call from a customer with a high bill, and that customer had no idea why their bill was so high, as is typically the case. That customer did in fact have an AMI meter, but we don't have any of this functionality delivered yet. So with a little bit of back and forth, and this whole journey took 6 weeks from an Avista perspective. From a customer perspective, it was 2 months. So the customer calls in with a high bill, they have an AMI meter, and we're able to kind of highlight for them when they do call in when their usage actually spiked. So there was a specific day, and we were able to highlight for them, well, about on this date, your base energy use went up, and then it hasn't really ever gone back down. Well, the customer hung up. We didn't solve the problem. We just had this raw data that said, well, there's something that happened. You should go check it out. We also checked the meter, of course, like most utilities do. But it still didn't solve the problem. The customer's still on the hook for this very high bill. Well, a number of weeks later, the customer called back. And what ended up happening was the water heater was so calcified that it was always on. It was unable to heat the water. And this customer ended up paying hundreds of dollars to run a water heater that wasn't working. Well, what if we could alert that customer within days of us observing that specific usage spike? That would completely shift the conversation from one where they call us, where they're angry about a high bill, from one to where we actually notify the customer that something has changed and it's going to end up costing you money. You should look into this. That conversation would move from one of reactive to one of proactive. So I really think we need to strive towards notifications that are proactive, that engage the customer before it hits their bill. Some of those ideas are very generalized usage spike notifications, appliance specific, and really the possibilities are endless, and we're only limited by what we can creatively come up with to solve this idea of my bill is a surprise to me every month. So moving on to the next space, I don't know why my bill is so high. This is really, to me, the foundation of the whole journey. If we can have this foundational understanding of what does and does not use energy, and that's really where these machine learning, AI, all that fun stuff comes into play, is to help us leverage AMI to get at this information and in a cost-effective way for the customer. It's very important for us to know these pieces with a relative degree of accuracy, because none of the other journey works as well without this foundational piece of information. What is and is not using energy? And I think given where we're at with the technology, knowing what is and is not using energy anymore isn't necessarily the hardest problem. The hardest problem here now is moving into the education space. The customers in a typical utility engagement still aren't interacting with us in the way they are with other companies. And I know that there's a lot of effort to try to change that, but most customers interact with us once a month when they receive their bill. So we need to strive to better educate and better engage our customers around how they're using energy. That can take many forms. It can be this information displayed on your web, on the app, on email. If you could try to figure out how to get it in text, that would be interesting too. As well as month in review type communications or year in review. I think the synonym there is home energy reports. And itemized bill summaries. When you go to a restaurant and you get the bill, they don't just bring out a number at the bottom. You see what you bought. So we need to be doing that for our customers. The next space we're going to look at is, I don't know what I can do to lower my bill. Well, this is where that foundation of knowing what's being used on the individual level really comes into play. In addition to what we talked about earlier with usage spike notifications, this personalized advice is really where we can start making a meaningful difference. I think a number of studies have shown that generalized information is not very effective when it comes to engaging your customers. The more personalized you're able to be, the more effective your communications are likely to be. Of course, balancing how you frame that is very important, but if a customer understands that if they take a specific action and it could save them $10, $15, $20, $25 a month, that's something that's actually meaningful to them, as opposed to abstracting it and saying, most people, if they took this step, would be able to save money. They'd go, does that apply to me? I'm not sure, and then they'd throw it away. So what can we do to be personalized and offer that website specifically to the customer? We can take that foundational information and do targeted energy efficiency campaigns. So it's really important for us as a utility to understand, as our loads grow and as we're tasked with promoting energy efficiency, we can actually find those customers with the highest propensity to save. We can look at specific loads within an always on space or within an HVAC space. Who's using the most? Who shouldn't be using the most based off of some other demographics that we understand? We can target them specifically. We don't have to spam our entire customer base with information that isn't relevant to them. The customers will start to trust us more when we provide them relevant information. If we send our customers 15 emails a year and one of them was relevant to them, they're going to stop reading the information we send. So we need to make sure we're sending them relevant information. They will be trained to not engage with us if the first few things we send to them are irrelevant. We've lost right out of the gate. So we really need to strive to say, what can we do to be personalized and what can we do to be relevant to that specific customer? And again, the foundation of this is the technology. The art of it is how we engage the customer. And of course, in that I don't know what I can do to lower my bill space, it can be combined. We can combine this technology with in-person in the future, maybe before, maybe not right now while we're stuck in a pandemic response, but in the future we can do in-home audits that are supplemented with this load disaggregation information, so we can actually come better prepared to have a conversation. In addition to assessing the envelope of their residence, we can look at the foundational data and be more prepared. And one of the other ones I'm really excited about is when we are having this conversation with our customers about what they can do, we can actually run personalized return on investment calculations. So think about it in terms of recommending that a customer replaces an appliance. Well, we have a general understanding of how much they use on that appliance every year. We have a general understanding of how much that appliance costs to replace and install. So we can run an energy efficiency assessment and say, well, if that appliance saves you $5 or $10 or $15 a month, we know how long it's going to take to pay off itself. That can help inform the customer if it's an investment they want to make. If it's not an investment they want to make, we need to do and take steps that will make it more appealing for that customer. And that gets into the last part of this equation is, I don't have the ability or resources to make changes. A lot of utilities offer rebates, and I'll highlight that as an example of what's really important for us in this space to leverage the information we have that is built off of this load disaggregation at an aggregate level. Right now, we do assessments to decide what rebates to offer, and they tend to lag by 1 or more years behind what we are actually observing in the field. Well, having the load disaggregation information in aggregate across our service population will actually allow us to react more quickly and offer the rebates that are actually meaningful to the customers in our space. We can see where our real problem areas are in near real time. It's not surveys that are based off of a glimpse at what a customer says. It's not audits that end in time or are stuck in one space in time. We can actually update this at whatever interval we like. And we can target our customers with rebates that are going to actually make a difference for them and actually make a difference for us on what has the biggest potential for savings. And lastly, we can look at partnering with community organizations to improve infrastructure that might make a bigger, long-lasting impact. We might find when we dig into this data that, instead of offering rate assistance, we should actually be just offering free insulation installation. That would actually solve both problems. It would be cheaper for us. The customer would have reduced bills, and they'd be having a warmer home. So it's kind of a win-win-win. And having this foundation of analytics and having access to all this data will be one of those things that helps us justify those types of changes. So really exciting possibilities across that journey for our customers. And this is just an example. This is probably a small selection of what you can do. And I'm excited to see and hear what other utilities are coming up with as well. I'll end with, I think this is a huge area of opportunity for us as utilities. And if we aren't pursuing these concepts, then somebody will, and they'll get in between us and the customer, and we'll no longer have even that monthly relationship with our customer. So we need to be doing what we can to engage the customer and be their energy advisor, be their energy partner as we and they move into the future. So that's my presentation, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.